for coming to this room on a lovely day like today. We are hermetically sealed, but at least the seats are comfortable, hopefully. So this is the Red Wheelbarrow, a student-faculty creative writing reading series. If this is your first reading that you've come to, welcome. We have usually 3 of these per semester, so 3 in the fall, 3 in the spring, and then we have one sort of special Red Wheelbarrow edition called Red Wheelbarrow at Chroma. That sounds really good, doesn't it? I'm always contacted by the marketing people, and they're like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "It's Red Wheelbarrow at Chroma. What more do you need to know?" So anyway, so that is coming up. I was going to announce this at the end, but why don't I just get that out of the way right now? So we will be having one more of these on May 8th. I believe it's 7:15 to 8:15. We won't be in this room. We'll be in the auditorium. We'll also have our Botticelli Art and Literature magazine will be launched. We don't actually throw them, but we have them outside of the auditorium on a table. So that's all we mean by launch. So that's something to look forward to. So it's kind of the last creative writing event of the year. And hopefully you all know about Chroma. And if you don't, you'll be hearing a lot more about it over the next month. So that's about a month away. So let's see here. We have 3 readers tonight. We have Sprout Reed, Gabby Sharp, and Babette Siaskowski. And we are not going to read in that order. Actually, Gabby's going to read first. But I'm going to have Sprout come up to introduce Gabby, and then Gabby will introduce Sprout, and I'll be back up to introduce Babette. So let's hear it for Sprout.
You don't have to clap yet.
Yes, we do.
So Gabby is from Ashburn, Virginia, which isn't that far from DC. She's an animation major with a creative writing minor and loves to combine the 2 skills to push the limits of storytelling. 2 of the poems Gabby will be reading tonight will be included in this semester's Botticelli magazine. And when she's not animating or writing, she can be found binge-watching cartoons or showing off pictures of her cats. Please help me welcome Gabby.
Alrighty, hello everyone. I guess I'll just get started. So the first poem I'll be reading is called Megalophobia, which for those who don't know is the fear of large objects. So, when objects swell to incomprehensible proportions, large enough to stab your intestines with panic on sight, you feel you have been thrown through mud and now fall from their height. Helpless as others walk around you, unaware of your clenched hands and broken breaths. Only a sliver ever truly seen, for her beauty falls on covered eyes. Her colors enchant me, the richest of all night skies trapped within her skirt, as she begs for something I will never know. I want to love her. I want her presence to bring me comfort, so I may stare at her stars each day. But this whole room fills me with dread, never truly breathing until I've left. This next poem is called Ars Poetica. You remember that story? You know, your story? The one that you heard as a child or maybe later in life, where the meaning flooded your heart but the words fell on deaf ears? I've been thinking, did this story take place in a different realm or just the next town over? Was it wordless like the flight of birds? Did its essence simply dance over you and paint pictures into your mind of what you should be seeing? Does it change over time, with age, with sickness, or with health? What does it hold you to? A better man is sure to have walked to great heights without knowing what you say. So what does this story matter? Will it lead you to stand above others and spit fire down on those who refuse to listen? No? So then why? You are back in hawk's clothing, claiming to watch over this story like it is your prey, when most often you simply scream out, hoping once more to touch it. like it is a new sweet fruit for you to bite down on and absorb before it is lost to your blindness for good. Is the dancing melody you picture that of a young girl or a stick bug? Does a ship sail through a forest and discover a new species? What sense should that make? A story can't just be, it must mean something, mustn't it? What else is the point of a story? Its job is not to make the thunderous chorus of whales swimming against your brain lessen, nor to romanticize rain washing away the blood of a crime scene. For what ludicrous world would we live in should our minds travel so far? How would we know how to get back? How do you know? When a young girl and a stick bug become equals, which they are not, how do you find your way back to us? Or are you simply stuck in this place in that story until someone pulls you out? The story seems centuries old, but it may only be days. The dust in my head seems to be clouding my timelines, as I know this story only entered my life years into it. Though, thinking back, it's as though the story created me. For its words and lack of words and its placement so far yet so near, and its dancing imagery have all come to shape my very being. But that can't be so, can it? What am I then if I am a result of the very nonsense I've been mocking? How can I, a very real person, care for ink on paper spawned from hallucinations in one's head? Words strung together for no rhyme or reason, but simply to do what? Spark something in the listener? This makes no sense. Who would care to listen to you, you sitting there with that empty smile? How do you smile as you do this? Wouldn't most go mad? Well, maybe you are mad. Then this strange story you tell would make sense. This next one is called Shipwreck and Calamity. Finally, your breath was taken and thrown into splintering wood, but each bit unable to contain everything, you screamed to the waves. As relief knots its way in and through you, the garden of water rests still below you now, but etched into your grooves a song of hysteria and heat sings out. Get up now, before seagulls rest on your tomb with only their nests to entertain you through the winters. How strong a force to take you buckling now, a reflection so tranquil as to hide this necessary calamity and break you. Laying limp now, you've never seemed so breathtaking. Please understand why I pushed you past all else, for every sound I spat was to be met by your tender ear as I ran, taking my chance with the broken sea rather than you, a mess of quiet thunder strapped together by a prayer. Nothing left to float but broken masts and brine-filled barrels. A beast so quickly sunk. Whether you were charmed by my empty departure, I may never know. While no remarks were ever shared between us when I stood atop you, everything rang clear. But echoes of your cries ring too loud now for anything else to get through. You never seemed like a loud one. Subtlety seemed to glow about you, but now even that has dwindled. My feet now glide over water, unable to penetrate deeper, as though each ocean says no to my presence, no to my acts, no to me. But you are only in the sea, only below the surface. How to reach you, I may never know. Staring into the glistening surface of death, I question your motives. You were so much before, till one wind gust too strong and one wave too big took you from me, took you in pieces, took you wailing. You followed me as a puppet on string, always connected to life through me, but I pushed that away for a life of solitude. Stuck to land while you get to explore still, as your wood floats through the endless sea, whistling a tale strung together by veracity. Letting go as the sea embraces you, guiding your limp, molded limbs into a calmer space, a cell to hold my peace for all days left. Thank you. And my last poem I will read tonight is called Noise. Amelia Earhart alienated herself from other able-bodied people who stood against each other, bemused at the idea of getting along. Existing as a colony of hares, convinced that life is a vicious coyote pulling us apart, and it is death that invites us to sit with fallen phantoms. Every soul is reunited in darkness, while the living weep for their mothers, their grandfathers, their uncles, and their childhood cats, getting nothing from it but woodpeckers carving into their skull. Hating yourself, hating them, hating all other ghosts whose ignited flames burned out ages ago, and now sit with King George joined hand in hand by the man who rots outside in the cold. There they watch us, killed like the ravaging vulture of life, because what worth is loyalty to anyone but a dance with demons, used to meddle with others' cockroach-infested lives as they wait for nothing to come knocking at their own door, opening them to this world of cricketless silence full of loved ones. Please, I am tired. Please, no more collecting spirits tonight. Please let there only be quiet, or else my mind may not comprehend your angelic hissing. But let me reassure you, there is good in this noise. For death may bring much, but he also brings silence. And yes, you may see your mother or your uncle or your cat, but you may only rest with them. These sounds of chaos that stick with us like a skunk's pungent odors are not used in death. You simply sit, similar to a possum attempting life. Thinking of this, I'd rather be vomiting horses. Then at least I know I'll have felt something as I weep over a toilet or over the Pharaoh's very tomb planted in a Zerg land. A heated, dry place where the devil takes comfort watching those like you who stand against Rosa Parks or Stalin or others with strong ideals, as though you all won't one day face a permanent ziz and join others who made lonely noises and now sit in silence among the phantoms together. Thank you. All right. That's all I have. So Sprout is a species native to Columbus. She's a film major with a focus in queer film theory and would probably literally kill a man without remorse if Gus Van Sant asked her to. She's been published in Botticelli and frequents the Righting Wrongs Open Slam mic, as well as the queer community mic at Wild Goose on Summit. Shameless plug. She's a Sagittarius and she enjoys trap music, walks through the industrial park, guessing people's astrology signs, and kissing girls. Also the seductive but ominous roar of the ocean as all the spiraling miles of undersea caves looming down there, waiting to incapacitate and drown you. She only asks that you give her all of your money. Please help me welcome Sprout.
So here's the deal. I'm from a slam background, which means I don't know how to cope with a quiet room. So if you hear something and by some miracle you like it, I need to know that you like it. This is like the one excuse you will ever have to like yell at somebody as they're speaking on the microphone and like not be a dickhead. That being said, to get you guys to like me, I'm gonna let you pick which poem I do first. So we're gonna use the hands. Do we all know how that works? Awesome. I have a poem that is about how Waffle House is a holy hall, and I have a poem about how Nancy Drew was riddled with lesbianism. Can I see hands for Waffle House?
Waffle House.
Can I see hands for Nancy Drew?
I'm over here for Nancy Drew.
Okay, Nancy Drew won by like this much. So this poem is called Nancy Drew Was Gay, the End, and it's the least serious poem I'm doing today. George the Terrible Fame, strong-shouldered and long-fingered, cranes her neck and blinks into the glow of Nancy Drew's fucking obliviousness. For 56 volumes, not books, volumes, George watches her red hair whip around corners, disappear down manholes, and whispers into the empty space of the illegal distillery, the drug runner's elevator, the creaky staircase, Jesus, you suck at your job. For like someone that spent an entire adolescence sleuthing, you'd think she'd be able to pick up on very basic social cues. Lesbian flirting is so fucking complicated. George Fain has an itch that she's been trying to scratch from 1930 to 2013, and Nancy is like, "Oh, that's so nice of you to say." And George is like, "No, I'm hitting on you." And everyone grows up with this sad, unresolved gay angst that they can't put a name to, and we all wound up so bad at figuring each other out.
Nice.
Thanks. We're going to get a little more political now. I recognize that almost everyone in here either appreciates money or art or both of those things in tandem with each other. So I'm going to read a poem about how both of those things suck. It's called Man Jailed for Punching Hole in $10 Million Monet Painting. In 2012, Andrew Shannon walked into the National Gallery Island and punched a hole in a $10 million, 140-year-old light study by Claude Monet. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison and was released in December of 2018. I believed in painters until they sent a man to jail for de-threading some sort of garage sale, and light on lilies reserved for the childhoods of people with high ceilings. I wonder if you can sew history back together, paint it over until Monet isn't a long-dead billionaire anymore, until the Greek vase shatters, until the McDonald's worker owns a life-size portrait where they sit with all of their prized possessions and the flowers on the coffee table behind them aren't dying. Thanks. So, I dated boys before I was approved and indoctrinated by the Council of Lesbians. And recently I found out that the first boy I ever dated was released from rehab. This was about a month ago. And I wrote this poem about that. So this is called St. Teresa of Avila. A viper can turn its fangs completely around to bite someone through the top of its head. You call a drenched knot of vocal cords on the kitchen floor with a gun to your head, and again I stay. You breathe the color of tearing. You sing body back into the ground. All I want is to choose the music at my funeral. I believe you believe. You will cry harder than my mother. I believe you believe. Your hands are only a dove storm. There's a heel that turns in the kitchen and the room tremors. There's a number we dial every time he wants to be fleeting. He wants to be Hindu so bad, wants to come back to haunt me as my father. He's trying to give more than he takes. When the door opens, I expect the tension of a clothesline, and I get his new body from his new life, where his arms are not rotting canals, and his teeth work, and he sees like a German shepherd. The room tremors and fills with barking. And in my past life, this kills me. And in my past life, this kills me. So, I grew up poor. I grew up on the west side of Columbus, out by Franklinton. It's called The Bottoms. And this is a poem about falling in love with your poverty, I guess. It's called Hood Rat, or Trippy Red is better than 21 Pilots. I sat across the champagne from you and saw you mourn the chain on my neck. Holes in a hoodie and the floor of a garage. Mom worked so hard to get out of that neighborhood. And an ungrateful, petulant bedbug I refused to leave completely. In love with the hungry, with epidemic. Fuck Powell, Ohio. Coda bus class ring, cat in the road beckoning dive bars into rights with an E. Son of the Westland Mall, just good bones and echo. Who birthed you to be Pall Mall? Who coaxed leopard print into your mouth? The holes in your knees jaywalk, and I'm made of shrink wrap. Untouched scratch off, the money you're gonna buy your mama a new house with, the money you're gonna move out of this neighborhood with, the money you're gonna stay here forever with, just to fucking spend like you got it and walk like you don't. Okay, this is my last poem, I promise. This is called Ode to River Phoenix. River, where do you think home lives? Is it private there? Have you been there before? Salmon return to their childhood bedroom to spawn. They sold you an excuse to be somewhere, to give your compassion a rest, an apartment warm and whole, John on the floor, you spinning. You wondering if this is where you'll swim back upstream to someday. I heard you saw a beach of dead starfish and wept. The apartment, did you want the walls pink? An expanse for them to exist. It wasn't their fault, they were just floating. Took an aimless risk too far and knew no stream at all.
We've got some readers tonight. I don't mean that they're just reading things. And I forgot to mention this earlier. This is the official National Poetry Month Red Wheelbarrow reading. NaPoMo for those who know. Now you all know. So that includes you. I have the honor of introducing Babette. I did not ask her how to pronounce this, so I might mess it up. Born in Oahu. Oahu. I just need to say it a lot more like confidently. Born in Oahu, Hawaii. Babette Tsiskowski has lived in southern Florida, Kitzingen, Germany. I'm just going to struggle with all these place names. It's so embarrassing. Sorry. And Central Texas. I can handle that. She currently lives in Columbus, Ohio, where she earned her MFA in poetry from The Ohio State University. Babette also teaches here at CCAD, of course. She's taught basic writing and writing in the arts. Her poems have appeared or are forthcoming in the Minnesota Review, Puerto del Sol, Glass, a journal of poetry, the Laurel Review, Frontier Poetry, Crab Orchard Review, Prairie Schooner, and other places as well. This is kind of a strange way to kind of set up Babette's poems, but I've been reading this biography of the poet James Merrill, who I don't particularly love James Merrill's poetry, but I don't know, I like reading biographies about poets, especially like really thick ones, like that thick, especially during the semester when I can't commit to, a novel, but I can certainly kind of like, especially if I'm sort of like, I don't really need to know every detail of James Merrill's life, so I'll read a couple of pages of this a day and everything will be fine. So I was reading that this morning, and I was thinking about Babette's poems, and there was this little thing that comes up in the biography, and apparently Arthur Miller and Dylan Thomas once walked out of a James Merrill play, like in the middle of it, or like at intermission or something like that. The reason they walked out was, and Miller whispers this to Dylan Thomas, he says, this guy's got a secret, and he's going to keep it. In her poem, Dream with Lover ending in confession, that opens with the word, this is the first word of the poem, meanwhile, the reader gets the sense not that the poet has missed something or left something out, but rather that there is so much to attune to and to attend to. The poem might have a secret, like James Merrill, right? But the speaker isn't only interested in keeping it, for this is also, of course, a confession. That word appears in the title. This is a poem and a poetry of intensity and of habitat. The world is in here, so is the body. This is a poem of secrecy, if secrecy reveals. In her poem, Seventh Circle, the speaker says, and I will indicate the amazing line breaks with one of these moves. National Poetry Month, folks. The line breaks are important, unless you're writing a prose poem, of course. So here's the poem, or part of the poem, like right in the middle. I want you, as a dying wish, to let you float, flowerless, speaking low as the last living thing, hidden in the trees. For some more of this revealing hiddenness, or is it hidden revealingness? That last word's not really a word. Please help me welcome Babette Siaskow.
Can everybody hear me? Kind of? Okay. Fun fact, Seventh Circle I'm not going to read because I thought it was too morbid because it has to do with the seventh circle of hell in Dante's Inferno, where if you kill yourself, you turn into a tree. And that started out with thinking about Anthony Bourdain, and then I was like, is this my story to tell? We're both cancers, maybe it is, who knows? But yeah. Also, you guys are really great readers, so that was really enjoyable. Especially for you specifically. For your first time reading, I was very impressed. Sprout, you're okay. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, so my first poem is called Hapa. I'm mixed, and I didn't realize how racially mixed I was until I moved to Ohio. When I started being called a poet of color, and I was like, okay, that's cool, I guess. And it's in couplets. I'm always kind of interested with what people are doing on the page, so couplets. Alright, Hapa. I was always Pocahontas, Esmeralda, Mulan, whichever came close to the color of my hair, whichever princess my mother didn't need to buy a wig for. There were no black princesses then, no Hapas. In Oahu, I'm asked where my father's from. They know he's Hapa too, knows nothing native ends in ski. They know he feeds his daughters spam and rice, says ono, pau, pakalolo, says words no haole grows up knowing. This makes him Ohana, this makes me safe. In Ohio, I'm asked what percentage I am. I'm invited to the Women of Color brunch. I don't go. Don't want to be the whitest POC in the room. Don't want to be asked, so what's your mother? Meaning, why are you here? I tell them the process of dyeing my hair, orchid and iris, the hours waiting for the shades to soak, the bleaching and fraying, the damage repair. I tell them she's an Aries with the Leo moon, that her mind is a diamond drill bit, how she's too lazy to find a job, how she's the Sadie and they're the mod, how I shaped her body into something else, grotesque, foreign to her former self, the model posing on the beach waiting to get paid. And that is true, my mom used to be a model. So. The first couple of my poems are all about my mom. Also, like, the jig is up. There's this whole thing of, like, oh, like, it's the speaker of the poem, or is it the poet? The poet, this is me. The I is me. So this is just about talking to my mom on the phone. She really wants me to have kids, and I'm just like, no, bro, no. All right, calling just to say. Also in couplets, because I have no range. All right. I'm trying to drink more tea, trying to calm the horse blood in my veins, keep things on an even keel. I'm trying to talk to you, to tell you that, despite distance and pain, yes, I still refuse to pay for haircuts, still refuse the bad boys' help, still take one too many free samples, hoard stacks of thin brown napkins from the corner coffee shop. No, my hair will never be even. I still find peace in my high school mantra, female Kurt Cobain. Yes, I'm old and adolescent, still holding on to the time when our hair was the same shade of red, lurid and endless as the neon sign at the bar I wasn't allowed to touch. No, no new tattoos. Yes, I remember your confession, though I still don't know why, at 16, I needed to know of a kiss that meant nothing, but meant enough to keep it a secret. I remember your words exactly. A woman's secret can tilt the world. Yes, he treats me right, says he wants to keep me, as if I were a jewel, something precious, lost, his to be found. Yes, I'm happier now. Yes, I know I'm losing time. Yeah, I'll find a job eventually, but no, still no talk of children. And there's still no talk of children, so we're not even going there. Not doing it. This is also about my mom, and it's titled My Mom's Name. Also, fun fact, don't write in a vacuum. I always assume, like, oh, no one's going to read this, but people are going to read it. So this is called Jacqueline Babette Jones. That's where I got my name from. And I guess you can Google her. And this uses the word Oma. Oma is just German for grandmother. This is not in couplets. To you, in my face, a warning. She is yours to shape, to choose how to mold into the girl Oma never approved of, the girl sneaking out of the house, unafraid of what's sloshing onto the shore, the man of war's waiting to sting a tender heel. You could have fashioned a Catholic schoolgirl, a girl bent on keeping the dime between her knees, pressed hard between the bones, the impression of a dead man's face pushed into her skin, a sign of victory. You could have told me to be nicer to the girls in my class, to treat them like sisters. You were never that girl. You thought it funny when, as discipline, my teacher sat me with the boys to get me to be quiet. I guess she knows what she wants. You knew your virtues, knew how to curve your body into the shape of a woman, wanting more, wanting endlessly to be touched, to be given anything but a child. In this, we are the same. I am everything your mother hated in you, everything you left home for. That's also true. When I was younger, they would move me from table to table, cluster to cluster, and I would just talk to everybody. I don't care for the little boys, little girls. Babette likes to talk. Shit, this is also in couplets. Okay. This is called Us Retrograde. This is also true. When I was in high school, my best friend, her name is Brittany, we gave each other little rap names because we like Cypress Hill. So the guy's name from Cypress Hill is Be Real, and Brittany, Babette, whatever. So she's Bee Juice and I'm Bee Shine for reasons I can't tell you. And so one day, high school, right? You're becoming a woman. And I became a woman and I wasn't prepared for it. And so she was like, here, take my sweater, we'll handle this shit. Anyway. Us Retrograde. I gave her my right slipper, told her to keep it, wear it home. I wrapped my foot in a Publix bag, went to sophomore physics, watched their faces turn vicious, their eyes sliding to my toes. What the fuck is wrong with you? I thought of gravitational pulls, how much I'd weigh on the moon, thought of the multiverse, a second self. I wondered if she'd be there too. Her blue sweater, turquoise with an aqua trim, how she tied it around my waist, a shared female concealment. No one will see, just try not to sit. No one found us cute. No dates or dances. We bopped, two-step down empty hallways, headphones synced to So Fresh, So Clean, waiting for the bell to ring, our homecoming. Our bodies were failing us even then. Her foot cut by first period, the shoe buried in a trash can, the blood running down my thigh as I walked her home. Does anybody read Nicole Seeley? Well, you should. She's a poet and she's amazing, and I ripped off her poem. So this is a Nicole Seeley ripoff, and it's kind of like Terrence Hazy ripoff because he's doing his American sonnets and he's so cool, and I want to be so cool. So this is called American Sonnet for My Medical History. Also, Terrence Hazy is a Scorpio, so there you go. And he's my husband. All right. I've had more than one silver tooth, had hair chin length, blood orange, dyed deep blue. I've opened the mouth of a woman I barely knew. I've seen my holes sewn shut, opened, reopened. The scars on my belly turn pink when I drink. My body is angelic, cherubic, flushed red, plump, and dumb. I've been wheeled into a room filled with mint-gloved fingers, hands trained to tweak and polish dysfunction, the ticking cogs hidden in my machine. I've seen my body revised, removed, fixed and unremarkable. There are open doors inside me, doors I have no intention of closing. This poem is stupid. Okay. This poem is when I thought that I was pregnant and I was tripping out. I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? And then I was like, when is it appropriate to tell the other person that you might be pregnant? Should I just I don't know. Who knows? If anybody knows, you let me know, because I still don't know. So this is called Expecting. I said it wasn't a joke, as in the worry had boiled over, some dark weight unable to push through the veil, some unforeseen settling. I spoke as if I knew the answer, some forgotten prayer we learned as children, before we knew ourselves. I feel like I am, but I'm not. He said he wouldn't know until it came to be violence or full collapse. He'd punch his fist into his chest, bruise in celebration, some budding territorial seed. He'd ask about the timing, the when and why not, or maybe I wouldn't tell him, bear this pink weight alone. False alarm. Thank the Lord. I think, yeah, the next two poems were a product of me on heavy pain medication after surgery. Yeah. This one's called Body is Luna with Tumors. I am half cream, thick in the middle, unwanted. My body is a chasm. I am training. I gorge, drill a dancer's cast iron will, watch as they breathe like horses. I'm counting the ways my body shifts, moon jellies cleaving pink corners, my softer side. I'm still, I feel them twitch. I pull into myself, watching as the trees breathe like machines. Yeah. I have no recollection of writing this. I really don't. Dream with lover ending in confession. Meanwhile, the darkness spreads into rapture, the shape of a language transformed. To be clear, I'm half to blame. I am both shame and lunar bliss, the mantis chewing on her lover, the feral side of pleasure. Teach me how to live unnamed. Teach me how to feed on the blue corners my body conceals. My secrets are yours to tame, Aurelia, Luna, field of jewels. They look like the moon revisited, white and full of holes. This poem came out of feeling guilty because when I was younger, I don't even really know why, maybe because I was a bully and I just like repressed that, but there was this girl who was really sheltered and I was like, you should like cartwheel down this hill. Like you should just do it. It would be really fun. I was doing it like, and she was like, I don't want to just do it. Whatever. And then she really hurt herself. I think she like broke her wrist or something. So I felt really bad. And I still kind of think about her. I'm like, where is she now? I don't know her last name. I don't like have Facebook. I don't like. I think about her and I really hope she's okay and she's not like traumatized, or she's like somewhere like hating me. Which, and if she's a poet, maybe that helps her. But who knows? All right. So this is called On Daring. I remember her voice, the break of it. I don't know why she listened to the finesse of my convincing, flinging her body with the momentum only a child could possess, a momentum generated by lack of fear or lack of consideration for the limits of our bodies. Cartwheeling down the hill behind my house, her wrists bent at an angle I've only seen in textbooks. Maybe we wanted the risk of it, the venturing out. I remember her mother's face, her paleness flooding into red. I think of her still, chipping the ice from my windshield, my fingertips white and numb. I wonder what she'd think of me now, a southern girl driving on ice, praying for safe arrival, slowly gliding to meet her lover on the other side of town, leaving one warmth for another, my pre-dawn windows glowing blue and white. This poem is probably the closest I will get to writing a happy poem, which is like really not gonna happen ever. But I really love Stevie Wonder, and I really love Stevie Wonder's song As. Does everybody know that song? Everybody should know that song. Everybody should know that song. Like in my head, every time I say that, I feel like people should just break out in a song. But since you're not, I'll live through it. But I'm always like, gosh, this is like makes me feel so joyous. Like anytime I listen to that song, I'm like, yeah, like it's just like the greatest song. And then I was like, well, what would that translate to in a poem? And that you would never get to that height of ecstasy, but I tried. So for the cool people in the room who know the song, you'll know the lyric that's in the song, but if not, you guys are just gonna have to deal with it. So this is called Despite Having the Key to Wonder, and this is my last one. There will be no miracles here, but what a miracle this is, a body bathed in bells and air. Sing, Lord, kindness knows no shame, but neither does my cruelty. It's boundless as a choir's breath, has the buoyancy of a beetle nailed to a silver bell. Shame is the lone survivor, after her savior finds new holes to fill, the joy fading from a vibrating throat. Sing, Lord, watch as my voice becomes talisman, heirloom, bark and bite, its chorus a rising incantation. Lord, witness my body sustained. Sing me my desires, give them each a name. Thanks. Who doesn't know that song? I want hand raising. Don't even do it. So offended. Do you know that song, Josh?
I'm sure that I do, but I don't know the title. Thanks for embarrassing me. I deserve it. I really do. Thank you all for coming out. I will reiterate what I said earlier. Red Wheelbarrow at Chroma, May 8th, 7:15 to 8:15. And it would be wrong of me, we were hyping Stevie Wonder. It would also be wrong of me to be at this podium for a reading series named The Red Wheelbarrow and not tell you that there are actual chickens that have just hatched in the basement, in the library. There are chickens in the poem The Red Wheelbarrow, if you don't know the poem Red Wheelbarrow. Okay? So just, if you want to see some like legitimately just hatched chickens, just go down to the library. I was down there filming them while I was printing out these bios and all this stuff. This was a phenomenal reading. I want to thank our readers, specifically Gabby, for your immense, powerful poems, but with imagery, goodness, a bat in hawk's clothing. Sprout, thank you for attacking art and money. It seems like you like one of those better than the other.
No, I hate them both.
Okay, you hate them equally.
I hate them both.
Thank you for attacking Monet. Thank you for your rewritten version of Nancy Drew, for poems that can be quiet and loud and angry and tender. You might resent that last part, but it's true. And Babette, thank you for your lessons on couplets. Sorry for using the speaker construct in my intro, because your poems and your reading be real. Thank you all. Have a good, summer. I know that was cheesy, wasn't it? You know.
That's the kind
You
of
know.
shit I was talking about.
I know. I'm not going to say anything else. There are chickens in the basement. Thank you all. Have a good night.